Nazi Germany did not have a single idea of race. It had a system, a hierarchy that ranked humanity from ideal to useful to disposable. Some groups were marked for dominance, some for exploitation, some for removal, some for destruction. Today, we are going to look at every major group the Nazis classified, why each was alienated or tolerated, and how millions of ordinary people came to accept it. At the center of Nazi ideology was one belief: history is a biological struggle. Nations rise or fall based on racial strength. The state exists to protect the race. Everything else is secondary. This belief turned race into policy. At the top were so-called Aryans, primarily Germans, Scandinavians, and Northern Europeans. They were portrayed as creative, disciplined, and naturally dominant. The state existed to serve them. Everyone else existed in relation to them. Jews were the central target. They were defined as a race, not a religion. No conversion, no assimilation, no escape. Why they were alienated? They were blamed for Germany's defeat in World War I, accused of controlling finance, media, and politics, portrayed as corrupting society from within. Jews were depicted as both capitalist exploiters and communist subversives. The contradiction didn't matter. They became the explanation for everything. This led to legal exclusion, ghettoization, deportation, and genocide. 6 million were murdered. Roma and Sinti were classified as racially impure, asocial, and criminal by nature. Why they were alienated? They didn't fit the Nazi vision of settled life, discipline, and productivity. They were registered, sterilized, interned, and murdered. Hundreds of thousands died. Some estimates suggest up to 500,000 Roma were killed, roughly 25 to 50% of their entire European population at the time. Disabled and mentally ill people were the first victims. Before the Holocaust came eugenics. Disabled people were labeled unfit, costly, and genetically dangerous. Under the T4 program, doctors sterilized them, then killed them. This made murder feel clinical, necessary. Over 200,000 people were murdered in this program alone. Slavs, the Poles, Russians, and Ukrainians were classified as inferior, but not immediately disposable. Why they were alienated? Eastern Europe was seen as living space, a colony, and a food source. Under General Plan Ost, Slavs were to be enslaved, starved, or replaced. Millions died through forced labor, famine, and mass execution. This was racial imperialism. Black Germans existed. Many were children of African soldiers stationed in the Rhineland after World War I. They were portrayed as degenerate and a threat to racial purity. While there was no full extermination plan, they were marginalized and often sterilized. Around 400 black children in the Rhineland were forcibly sterilized in 1937. Homosexual men were persecuted because the Nazi state demanded births, soldiers, and masculinity. They were framed as weak and unproductive. Between 5,000 and 15,000 were sent to concentration camps, where they were forced to wear pink triangles. Then there were the groups that broke the rules. Arabs were generally considered non-Aryan, but they were useful. Because they opposed Britain, France, and Zionism, they were seen as natural allies. Nazi Germany broadcast propaganda in Arabic and supported Arab nationalist movements. Arabs were excluded from equality, but spared systematic persecution. Turks occupied a gray zone. Turkey was geopolitically important, and Germany needed their neutrality and chrome ore. So race theory bent to politics. Turks were treated favorably and often classified as near-Aryans. Persians, modern Iranians, were the great exception. Iran literally means land of the Aryans. In 1936, Iranians were legally classified as Aryan. They were exempted from the Nuremberg laws. Why? Linguistic ties, strategic location, and political alliance potential. Race was redefined when convenient. Indians were a contradiction. Nazis admired ancient India, the Sanskrit language, and Indo-European origins, but they despised modern India as racially degenerate. However, for political gain, they supported Indian independence to weaken Britain. They worked with Subhas Chandra Bose and the Indian National Army. Indians were allies, not equals. How did Germans accept all this? Because it happened gradually. Language came first. People became parasites, burdens, and threats. Law came next. Discrimination became legal. Participation followed. Doctors signed forms. Teachers taught race theory. Clerks processed paperwork. Violence became routine. Benefits sealed it: jobs, homes, status. Exclusion rewarded compliance. The core mechanism of Nazi ideology didn't ask, "What is true?" It asked, "What is useful?" Race was flexible. Enemies were permanent. Nazi Germany shows us something dangerous. You don't need universal hatred to commit universal crimes. You need authority, classification, and obedience. When a state defines who counts as human, atrocity becomes administration. This wasn't ancient history. It was a warning. If this breakdown helped you understand how race became policy, like the video, subscribe for more deep dives and tell me in the comments, which contradiction in Nazi racial thinking do you find the most revealing? Until next time, keep questioning history.